Yeah.
He's had an amazing career.
How did you get Paul Simon to write the theme song for the show?
Well, so like you're talking about the audacity of asking.
Yeah.
So I have this new thing I arrived at, a new method of getting stuff done. I write an email to a guy like Paul Simon. I'd had dinner with Paul Simon once.
Where, at Lauren's house?
No, we went to a restaurant and we met for dinner.
Oh, look at you.
You just met.
Yeah, we had common
Where do you
friends.
go? Nobu?
Yeah, something like that.
Nobu, yeah.
Yeah.
Are you nervous before you have a dinner with Paul Simon?
Yeah, sure, a little bit.
I
Yeah.
would be.
Yeah.
I met him in a
His
bathroom.
music is like the world to me.
Me too.
And I used to sing his songs to my daughters before bedtime when I was first divorced.
You
and
must have mangled
figuring it out.
those.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Let me hear you sing Paul Simon.
Yeah, let's hear a little
wanna
bridge
hear
over
it.
troubled water.
Pretend I'm your daughter.
I can't
And
do
you're
it.
putting me to bed. What song would you sing to your daughter?
The Boxer.
I am just a poor boy.
My story's seldom told. I have squandered my resistance on a pocket full of mumbles. Such are promises.
I don't want to be
All
a singer,
lies
Dad.
and jest. No, but
Yeah,
I'm singing
right.
to my daughters, and
That's
it's the most
beautiful.
depressing song.
It is. The Boxer is
Yeah, I
so
wouldn't have
depressing.
picked that one.
La la la.
Oh. By the way, Senator Al Franken just tweeted that is a horrible song for you to sing to a kid. And you're a terrible father. Now,
But yes, okay. So Paul. So I wrote Paul an email that said, "I know this is crazy, but I'm making a new show, and I want to ask you to write the theme song and perform it.
Yes.
Because your voice would literally set the tone for the show perfectly.
Yes.
I hope I'm not overreaching."
Of course you are.
And I don't, and I know this is you're very busy, and so I look at the email and I take out, I shouldn't be asking. I take out, I'm overreaching, and just leave in, I'm making a new show. I want you to write the song. It would set the
Straightforward.
tone perfectly. That's all. Just ask.
By
Just
the
ask.
way, have you taught us a business lesson today, Louis C.K.? In other words, if you take away, most people would say, I'm not going to bother. I would say, I'm not going to bother Paul Simon. How dare I? You're saying if you ask, you'd be surprised what you could get.
Also, either bother them or don't.
Right.
But don't bother somebody and say sorry for bothering you. Just go ahead and bother them, or don't ask.
And do me a favor, never send me an email like that.
No.
If you, please. I
won't.
have the hardest time saying no.
I
And
know.
the answer is already no.
No, definitely.
Not that you're asking me to do anything.
But yeah, Paul wrote back and said, "What the hell?" And I went to his studio.
Yeah.
And I spent a day with Paul working on the song and getting it.
And when you say
right.
working on a song with Paul Simon, you're telling him
shit.
you're telling him the story.
He's the sweet. So I sent him all the scripts.
Right.
He read all the scripts first.
Wow.
Yeah.
He takes that seriously.
Yeah, he did.
He doesn't take it lightly. And what are you doing in the studio while he's recording?
So we talked about it, and he gave me some options. Like he played a few things, and he said, "Here's a guitar riff that I've been working on that I've had for like 10 years.
Wow.
And I've been waiting for a place to put it."
Did you like it?
And he played it for me, and I was like, "That's beautiful."
Right.
The thing I had a hard time with was being constructive at all, because he would play something,
And you go, what am I
and then
gonna
he'd
do?
say,
I was
"What do you
gonna say,
think?"
how
And
do
I'd be
you
like,
critique him?
"Yeah, it's all great, Paul. I mean, it's all amazing."
Yeah,
I wish I
that's
had
Paul
something
Simon.
helpful.
Yeah, what are you going to do? Say,
Yeah, what do you know?
By the way,
Well,
that's a
as-
shitty riff.
As a director, I've had to direct people that are far above my own caliber, but
Right.
they still need direction.
Right.
They need some guidance.
You have in your head.
So I have learned. I was able to say, like, here's some suggestions of where this could go.
Did you contribute to the lyrics, or are you, you sit back
no,
on
we
that
talked
too?
for a long time about what it could be about.
Right.
And then he thought he wanted to be Stephen Wright in the song. Stephen Wright, who sits on the stool. He says he loves Stephen Wright.
Right.
And he said, that character to me, that's the guy I am when I'm singing. And
really?
I said, I love that. So he wrote, that hell no.
I can't even imagine what it's like to sit there while Paul Simon is composing a song for your show.
Yeah.
Boy, you've come a long way from
this-
washing dishes.
So,
I got to ask, how'd you get Paul Simon to do the theme song?
well, so Paul Simon, there's a guy who does music for my series Louie on FX, this guy Matt, who he's a very good musician, and he did some session work with Paul Simon. And Paul said to him, "Hey, I really like Louis' series," and because he knew he'd do the music. And he just told him nice things about me. So I asked him for Paul's email because I wanted to tell Paul Simon, his music is very important in my life. Like, it's a big deal. Mm-hmm. And when I was divorced and starting to have custody of my kids on my own, I would sing them Paul Simon songs. I mean, Simon and Garfunkel, but he wrote them. So to me, that's not the two of them singing them. They're his songs. So I would sing the songs to my kids, and it was a big deal to me. So I just wrote him a thing saying, I appreciate your work. That's all. And then he wrote back. He was nice. And then we would meet at, like, SNL things. He's a big friend of Lorne Michaels. So we had dinner one night. And then I had his email. So one day I thought, fuck it, I'm going to write. I wrote him and said, would you please do the theme song for my show?
Amazing.
And he said, yeah, what the hell? And so we did it. I went to his house and his recording studio and sat and watched him create a song.
Oh, he actually wrote
it? Yeah, he wrote it and played it. And
did he see all the episodes first?
He read them all first because they weren't done.
Right.
Yeah, so he read all the episodes that I had. I'd written 8 of them, so he read the scripts. And then he asked me what I was looking for, and like he was very generous.
Right.
Like what he wanted to feel like, and he played a few things for me. And he's like, "Is this okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's all amazing. Like, how do I fucking, nah, not that world class guitar.
Right. Yeah, that one's just okay. Yeah. How do you do that to Paul Simon? You'll take whatever he hands into you.
That's right.
But that's the ability to just ask. You know, you don't know something until you
in the end, he might say.
it.
And also, so many people, you don't know what you think. Everybody, it's like the hot girl that nobody asks to the prom. Because she's a disgusting whore and you don't want to touch her. No, like the girl who everybody thinks she's got a date and nobody asks her. It's like the people like that are legendary. He's like, it's a new show, a new thing. Mm-hmm. It's got value to him. Like, to be asked. Also, it sure doesn't hurt his feelings to be asked something.
True.
Right.
By somebody he likes.
He could have easily said, "That's very nice, but I can't do it." Right. And then it would have made him give him a little cheer.
Do you think you would have asked him if you knew he wasn't a fan of the show? Like if you didn't hear that he knew your show?
I mean, yeah, sure. Yeah. I wouldn't. If I thought it's somebody else who I didn't have a connection with, but I knew I could get to. Like, my manager's got one great skill. He's got a few great skills, but one of the best is that he can get anybody's phone number.
Right.
So I tell him, like, I need to reach this person. And then so I'll call them or write them and say, that's the thing I've built over the last few years. I'll go to anybody and ask them to do something.
Will you...
Putting the pieces together. Jesus, Paul Simon making the song for me that made me cry every time I heard it.
And then he shows up in the last episode.
Yeah, he shows up in the last episode. And then the way we used America, Paul and I were become pals at that time. And he told me, he said, the sound of silence.
Yeah.
Paul Simon said this to me on your show is really deafening. It's really hard to take. And he said, put a little music in there. Make it come out of the jukebox.
Yeah.
I said, well, I got to get that music somewhere. And he goes, well, why don't you use your favorite song? And he was being nice because I had told him that America is my favorite song. And I said, can I have it? He said, of course you can have it. He gave me America. But yeah, and then when it came to like that, and when I got to the middle portion of the episode, the first episode, I knew I want to stop there. And then I thought about saying intermission. I'm trying to remember if I decided that before or after we shot it. I don't remember.
You don't think it was in the script?
Well, also I had been working with Paul Simon with the music.
Yeah, which is awesome.
And he had created, this is how it happened, because I went to his studio and he played some pieces for me and I really liked them, and then he started to shape it into this tune. Then he put on like a scat vocal track where he's just singing and humming and stuff to give a sense of how the vocals will be shaped.
Yeah.
And he sent me home with that on a CD. And he said, if you like this, I'll try to come up with some lyrics that fit that vocal thing. And also he had created this sort of intro of this thing that makes his guitar sound like a harp. And then it goes, vroom, and I knew right away that's going to be, you're going to see the Horace and Pete sign, and then the guitar will take you to the show. So he had created that intro that was going to be a musical intro. He and I had already decided there's going to be a musical intro to the show that'll be short, and that the theme song, the entire theme song, would be the tail credits.
Right.
He felt strongly about that. He said, you shouldn't hear my voice until the end of the show. And I was cool with that.
Yeah.
But so when he sent me home with the scat vocals, I loved it. And then he came up with lyrics, and he did a version with lyrics. But I had fallen in love with the scat vocal version because I listened to it constantly.
Yeah.
And I listened to it as I was writing. I was still writing then.
Wow.
So I asked him, can we keep the scat vocal version and find a place to put it? And he said, not the way I gave it to you. You got to let me redo it. So he redid it with a little more form to it.
Right.
Although he left it ragged because I wanted him to. Then I thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make an intermission. I'm going to let you just listen to him.
Yeah.
And look at the word intermission while you listen to him. That's how it happened.
That's cool.
And also this...